Where are we from? Who created us? Who was the Anunnaki? Where are we going, and what secrets of the past does human history reveal? Hidden in the depths of the ancient texts is the secret of the Anunnaki, those who came from the heavens. The Anunnaki, also known as Nephilim, are legendary beings from Mesopotamian stories known for shaping human history. They appear in many ancient writings, from Sumerian and Akkadian to Assyrian and Babylonian records, and even in the book of Genesis in the Bible. The biblical sons of gods, Anunnaki, are characters in one of the oldest literary works, the Epic of Gilgamesh. This is the story of the gods who made the history of humanity. Anunnaki lived on a planet called Nibiru, which orbits the sun in a long elliptical orbit and comes closer to Earth about every 3,600 years. Despite its great distance from the sun, Nibiru could maintain life because of its internal heat, which provided a stable environment for living. However, problems with the ozone layer began to threaten Nibiru's stability. The threat was becoming more and more serious, prompting Anunnaki to act. They knew that dispersing gold dust in the atmosphere could effectively reflect solar radiation and stabilize their planetary environment. Anu, the god of heaven, was known for his wisdom and determination. With his wife Antu, they formed a powerful deity who ruled over the other Anunnaki. Anu and Antu had many children, some of them sons of Enlil and Enki, who profoundly influenced the history of mankind. At a time when the Anunnaki were facing an ecological crisis on their home planet of Nibiru, Anu thought about how to keep his people alive. Knowing that Earth had many resources, especially lots of gold, Anu decided that this precious metal could save Nibiru's atmosphere. Anu sent Enlil to lead a mission to Earth. As the god of air and wind, Enlil was to make sure Earth's resources were used well to help Nibiru. His role was to organize the mining of gold and other resources, and to guarantee that operations would run smoothly and effectively. On the other hand, Anu granted Enki, the god of water and wisdom, the role of technological director. Known for his inventions and innovations, Enki was tasked with creating the technologies needed for gold extraction and processing. Their first landing was in Mesopotamia, where they built the first city, Eridu. This region, known as the birthplace of civilization, was chosen for its strategic location and rich natural resources. The Anunnaki brought advanced technology, including crystal plates, which helped transfer information and energy between Earth and Nibiru. After setting up their bases in Mesopotamia, the Anunnaki expanded their activities to southern Africa to build infrastructure for gold mining. South Africa was selected for its vast gold reserves, perfect for the Anunnaki's needs. Together with the Anunnaki, their slave race, the Igigi, also came to Earth. The Igigi had lost an ancient conflict with the Anunnaki and were then enslaved. These slaves were put to work in newly created gold mines in Africa, where their job was to mine gold. Working conditions in the mines were difficult. Entire generations of Igigi have spent their days in an endless cycle of hard work underground, resulting in growing tension and deep discontent among them. During this difficult period, a group of courageous Igigi formed and met in secret to work out a plan to gain their freedom. Their determination resulted in a well-organized resistance that made significant changes. After several negotiations and conflicts, the Anunnaki finally recognized the need to improve the working conditions of the Igigi. They realized that the Igigi had made enormous efforts to repair their planet Nibiru, and that their exhaustion and frustration could lead to further, perhaps more devastating rebellion. Enki, known for his wisdom and innovative thinking, proposed to create a new living race by combining the DNA of the Anunnaki with that of the local hominids that inhabited Earth at the time. In laboratories, the Anunnaki combined their genetic material with the hope of creating the perfect species. However, their first experiments did not go as planned, as the resulting creatures were unable to reproduce. However, this failure did not discourage Enki. They decided to take the DNA of a hominid that had lived on Earth and implanted it into the womb of one of the Anunnaki women named Isis. And so, This led to the creation of the generation of Isis, known as Genesis. After several months of tense waiting, Adam, the first human, was born, symbolizing a new beginning. Later, the Anunnaki also created the first woman, Eve, so that she could be Adam's wife. After this success, the Anunnaki also created other humans so that they could establish a population. This act gave birth to a new race that quickly expanded across the earth and began a new, fascinating, and important chapter in the history of mankind. After the success of the genetic experiments, the Anunnaki expanded their operations throughout the Middle East, building additional bases that served as centers for resource extraction and processing. Thoth, son of Enki, also known as Ningish-Zida, a spiritual leader and teacher who brought deep spiritual and esoteric knowledge to mankind, subsequently moved to Egypt, also known as Kem, where he used his advanced knowledge to build monumental structures such as the pyramids. These pyramids served not only as tombs, but also as energy devices, astronomical observatories, and centers of spiritual and scientific knowledge. From Egypt, the Anunnaki continued to expand their operations to other parts of the world, including India and China. There they built new cities and expanded their technological and cultural influence, helping the development of great civilizations in those areas. Enlil and Enki had different ways of managing humans and Earth's resources. Enlil was strict and impatient, viewing humans as disruptive. Enki was empathetic and saw humans as his children. These differences caused conflict and tension among the Anunnaki. To reduce conflicts, the Anunnaki divided the Earth into zones of influence. Enlil and his descendants controlled some areas, while Enki and his descendants managed others. Enki and his son Thoth led their group to a new part of Earth to create an advanced civilization. They found land rich in resources for their scientific and technological experiments. At that time, there were 1,000 masters of spiritual knowledge on Earth known as the Nakaals. These wise and influential leaders were revered for their deep spiritual wisdom. Preparing for the coming era of Atlantis, the Nakaals directed their energies to the surface of a continent as they transitioned to a new home. Here, they created the magical Tree of Life. Unlike the traditional 10 energy circles of Atlantean rituals, the Nakaals created 12 circles, leaving 2 free for future civilizations. One of Atlantis's cities was built with 3 rings, separated by large moats, and was an extremely advanced city known for its technology and culture. They constructed buildings using many crystals, which served as energy sources and were used in various technological applications, including healing, promoting meditation, and harnessing nature's powers for civilization's advancement. Atlantis, with its great knowledge, became a place where people could learn abilities like telepathy, energy control, healing, and advanced astral travel. Education focused on inner strength and harmony with nature, helping Atlanteans grow spiritually. Schools of wisdom were everywhere on the island, teaching both spiritual and practical skills. Over time, the remaining energy circles were filled by 2 more civilizations. One was the Hebrews, who had to start over but brought important knowledge that helped the people of Atlantis. The second race to arrive on Earth were the Martians, inhabitants from the nearby planet Mars. These newcomers caused a catastrophe on their planet that not only harmed their home, but affected the entire universe. Before coming to Earth, Mars was a planet very similar to Earth. The Martians originally intended to dominate the continent. They were a highly advanced civilization with great technological skills, heavily using the left side of the brain, which handles technology and logic. At the beginning, the Anunnaki cooperated with the Martians because their advanced technology could help develop Atlantis. Martians have experimented with a project called the Synthetic Merkaba, also known as Project Lucifer, similar to what they did on Mars. If they were successful, they would gain control of the entire planet. However, the experiment went out of control and ended in disaster. Earth started to experience the same tragic events as Mars. Changes in the Earth's magnetic field caused a dimensional rift to form. Because of this rift, a huge number of low-dimensional spirits and beings entered and needed to occupy human bodies to survive. More than 100 dimensional spirits settled in each person. This period became the greatest catastrophe the Earth has ever experienced. The Nekeals, due to their advanced spiritual abilities, stayed out of the negative influences that affected the other beings and tried to stabilize the situation. The Anunnaki and Nekeals joined forces and used advanced technological and spiritual techniques to close the low-dimensional rift. This process involved the use of energy devices, rituals, and ceremonies to stabilize Earth's energy fields. Thanks to experiments, they have managed to stabilize the Earth, leading to a series of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis. These catastrophic events caused Atlantis to sink below sea level. Enlil was tired of the constant problems and rowdy behavior of humanity. He believed that a flood would be the most effective way to eliminate a human population that had already served its purpose. Enki, who had a closer relationship with humans and saw them as his children, was horrified by the idea. He decided to intervene and save as many lives as possible. Enki warned one of his sons, a man named Noah, or Ziusudra Utnapishtim, and gave him instructions for building the ark. Noah was to save his family, friends, animals, and vegetation from the coming flood. By this act, Enki not only demonstrated his love for mankind, but also secured their future. After the catastrophic events, the earth calmed down. This incident marked the transition to a new age and exacted a heavy price. Humanity passed through the electromagnetic null zone, resulting in the loss of Christ consciousness. All inhabitants, including the Martians, lost all memories and abilities. Life expectancy was reduced to approximately 90 years. During these events, some of Earth's inhabitants did not escape the flood, and most of the inhabitants of Atlantis died. The continent was destroyed and lost underwater. This change reshaped the foundations of human existence. Human DNA switched to a double-stranded structure, which required humans on Earth to start all over again. Each individual was challenged to overcome their genetic limitations and reach a higher level of consciousness. Humans must relearn how to effectively use their enhanced abilities, such as heightened intuition, the capacity for deeper emotional and intellectual cognition. Humans had to rebuild their civilizations with the knowledge left to them by the Anunnaki. The new cities and civilizations that emerged after the migration of the survivors became centers of advanced learning and culture. Egypt, Mesopotamia, India, and China became important centers for the development of human civilization. After the Great Flood and the departure of the Anunnaki, Egypt became one of the most important civilizations, thriving on the infrastructure left behind. Thoth, who was the god of wisdom and technology, had a great influence on the development of Egyptian culture and religion. He chose to remain and help mankind as a son of Atlantis. In Mesopotamia, where the Anunnaki founded the first cities, the development of civilization continued, which became the foundation of many important inventions and other discoveries. This was the beginning of a new era for humanity, shaping the history we know today.